Have you ever wondered what it truly means to be brave? Can faith and courage intertwine? Imagine standing before a giant, armed with nothing but a sling and a stone, or daring to speak up for your people at the risk of your own life. That's the kind of courage and faith that biblical heroes exhibited. Their stories, passed down through generations, are not just tales of old, but timeless lessons of bravery, conviction, and unwavering faith. These biblical heroes, from David to Esther, from Daniel to many more, showed us that true courage arises when faith is its bedrock. Their faith in God was not passive, but active, a force that led them to confront challenges, defy norms, and change destinies. It is their faith that fueled their courage, and their courage that left an enduring legacy. Join us as we delve into the lives of these biblical heroes, who through their faith and courage have left indelible marks. Picture a young shepherd boy stepping up against a giant warrior. This is the story of David. In the rolling hills of Bethlehem, there lived a young shepherd boy named David. His days were spent tending to his father's sheep, a job that was both humble and quiet. But David was not just an ordinary shepherd boy. He was a boy with an extraordinary faith. One day, a giant named Goliath challenged the Israelites to send out a champion to decide the outcome of their ongoing war. Goliath was a towering figure, standing over 9 feet tall, covered in armor and armed with a massive spear. The Israelites were terrified, but not David. He had faith, a faith that was unwavering, a faith that was stronger than any physical strength. David, with nothing but a simple sling and 5 smooth stones, stepped forward to face Goliath. Can you imagine the gasps from the crowd, the disbelief, the doubt? But David wasn't deterred. He knew that it was not by his power but by God's power that he would prevail. He said to Goliath, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." With that, he slung one of his stones at Goliath, striking him in the forehead. The giant fell, and David was victorious. David, the shepherd boy, had defeated Goliath, the giant warrior, but it wasn't his physical strength that won the battle. It was his faith, his courage, his belief that with God, all things are possible. David's story is not just a tale of a boy defeating a giant, it's a message of faith and courage. And it's a reminder that no matter how big our giants may seem, with faith we can face them, we can overcome them. David's story teaches us that with faith, even the smallest among us can conquer the greatest fears. Imagine a queen risking her life to save her people. This is the story of Esther. In the heart of the Persian Empire, a young Jewish woman named Esther found herself in a position of power as queen. But her life was far from easy. She was faced with a dire situation, a plot to annihilate her people. It was a time when Jews were in captivity, vulnerable and without much hope. But Esther was their beacon of light, their ray of hope. Esther's story is not just about her courage, but also about her unwavering faith in God. She found herself in a situation where she could either remain silent, secure in her royal position, or risk her life by standing up for her people. She chose the latter, and in doing so, she displayed a courage that was both selfless and inspiring. She had the courage to approach the king uninvited, a move that could potentially cost her life. But she did not let fear deter her. She trusted in God and believed that he would guide her through this perilous journey. She knew that her faith was stronger than any earthly fear. Esther's courage did not stem from her position as queen but from her faith in God. She relied on prayer and fasting, seeking divine intervention in the face of impending doom, and her faith was rewarded. Her bravery led to the deliverance of her people from the planned genocide, a triumphant victory that was achieved not by the sword, but by the courage to stand up for others. Her story is a powerful testament to the strength that can be found in faith and the courage that comes from standing up for what is right, even in the face of danger. From Esther, we learn that courage is not just about personal victory, but also about standing up for others. It's about putting others before ourselves, about risking everything for the greater good. It's about being a voice for the voiceless, a defender of the defenseless, and most importantly, it's about having faith in God, even when the odds seem insurmountable. So let's take a leaf out of Esther's book and strive to be courageous, not just for ourselves, but for others as well. Let's have the courage to stand up for what's right, to be a beacon of hope for those in need, and to place our unwavering faith in God. From Esther, we learn that courage is not just about personal victory, but also about standing up for others. Envision a man thrown into a den of lions yet remains unharmed. This is the story of Daniel. In the heart of Babylon, Daniel, a young Jewish man, found himself living in a society that did not share his faith. Yet he remained steadfast, unwavering in his devotion to God. He chose to honor his beliefs, even when they clashed with the laws of the land. Daniel's commitment to his faith was tested when King Darius, under the influence of his advisors, issued a decree. This decree stated that for 30 days, no one could pray to any god or human except to the king himself. The punishment for disobeying? A one-way ticket to the lion's den. Yet Daniel, courageous and unwavering, chose faith over fear. He continued to pray to his God openly and without hesitation. And as the law dictated, Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. But here's where the story takes a turn. Despite the snarling beasts, Daniel was not harmed. He spent the night in peace, under the protective wing of God's angel. The next morning, King Darius, who was fond of Daniel, rushed to the den. He was overjoyed to find Daniel alive and unharmed. Witnessing this miracle, the king declared that Daniel's God was indeed the living God, enduring forever. Daniel's story is a testament to the power of unwavering faith. It reminds us that faith isn't just about believing in God, but also trusting in His plan for us. It's about standing firm in our beliefs, even when we're standing alone. Daniel's faith didn't just shield him from the lions. It transformed an entire kingdom. His courage to face danger, his choice to stay true to his faith, influenced those around him and led to the acknowledgement of his God's power and sovereignty. In the face of danger, Daniel chose faith. He chose to trust God, even when the outcome seemed uncertain. And in doing so, he showed us the power of true faith. Daniel's story reminds us that faith can bring peace even in the midst of chaos. These stories from the Bible are not just historical narratives, but life lessons for us all. Let's take a moment to reflect on the stories and lessons we've learned from David, Esther, and Daniel. These biblical heroes demonstrated faith and courage, virtues that were instrumental in their victories and are still relevant for us today. David, a young shepherd boy, stepped up against Goliath, a giant warrior. He was not daunted by Goliath's size or strength, but rather he trusted in God's protection. David's faith allowed him to face his fears and overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. His story teaches us that with faith, we can conquer our own giants, those challenges that seem too big for us to handle. Then there's Esther, a young Jewish queen in a foreign kingdom. She risked her life to save her people from a death sentence. Esther's courage to stand for others, even when it put her own life at risk, is a testament to her faith and love for her people. Her story reminds us that sometimes we are placed in positions to help others, and we must have the courage to act. And of course, Daniel, a man who maintained his faith even when it was against the law. He was thrown into a den of lions as punishment for his faith, but he emerged unscathed. Daniel's unwavering faith in the face of danger shows us that even in the darkest times, our faith can protect us and guide us towards the light. Each of these heroes faced adversity in their lives, but their faith and courage saw them through. They didn't just believe in God, they put their faith into action, showing us that faith is not merely a belief, but a way of life. In the face of adversity, remember the stories of these biblical heroes, and let their faith and courage inspire you.